Hi everyone, this is Neha Gupta, founder of College Shortcuts and Elite Private Tutors. I'm honored to have Dr. Shefali Tsabary here today. She is the leading expert on parenting, and she's had incredible books such as The Conscious Parent as well as The Awakened Family, and she's been featured on Oprah as well. So I want to welcome Dr. Shefali here. She's got an incredible event coming up in October that she'll be telling us about. So welcome, Dr. Shefali, to the show.
Oh, thank you, Neha. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Okay, so let's get right to it. One of the questions that a lot of parents have is, what is the fine line between pushing your child versus allowing them to be them?
Yeah, that's a great question. I get asked that all the time. Well, I think there is no line. I mean, it's a moment-to-moment discovery that you have to engage in as a parent. Therefore, you have to be very alert and awake and attuned to your child. We push and then you have to push back, and you have to push and you have to push back, and you have to engage in a conversation with your child and be willing to listen. Because if you're willing to listen and you're open to picking up their clues and their cues, they will tell you very clearly where you've pushed too far. Now you need to move back. So the answers are there. It's just about how willing we are to listen and to open ourselves to truly being present for our children.
Absolutely.
There is no perfect answer. People want perfect answer. It's like a discovery. You have to constantly push in and then push back, push in and push back. You try out the piano, then you let go of the piano. You try out the ballet, you let it go. And your kid eventually comes forward with the right answer for themselves, right? So if they say, oh, I don't want to go for ballet, you push a little bit more. Okay, another 2 weeks. Then you push a little bit more, another week. And then they're like, no, more. Then you're like, oh, okay, I better back off. But if they're like, oh, okay, I'll do another week. Then you keep trying. It's like
Totally.
A hit and miss. And also you have to ask yourself, why are you pushing? Are you pushing because you truly believe they enjoy it? They're getting something out of it that they may not yet know yet, but they will, discover some character qualities by doing it. They're just not mature enough to see that yet. You have to keep asking yourself, why am I doing it? Am I doing it just to serve myself? Or am I really doing it for my kid? And if you're really doing it for your kid, then you can push, but always listening, always engaging in a dialogue, always being present to what your child is saying.
That's a beautiful way to say it. I remember even as a kid, my mom pushed me to do Bharatanatyam dancing, and it was just this like forcing and forcing. And finally I said, why does it matter to you so much? She goes, I want to give you the opportunities that I never had. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Why? And It ended up happening that I became the best hip-hop dancer at my age and doing break dancing and things like that. But it all started from that struggle with Bharatanatyam to find that I did like dance and being on stage, to move over to something that I did love. And she gave me that freedom to do the type of dance I wanted. And I see parents struggle with this all the time. I have parents that will say, well, we got to put it on your resume. It's just like...
Yeah, well, that's always the goal, right? And that's coming from fear, because we've been indoctrinated to this belief system that the end goal and the only goal is a good college. And we really have to go within ourselves and question if that is the truth, and why is that the truth for us. And it's usually related to our own insecurity, right? Like your mother said, like, I'm scared that you won't have the best opportunity. And you're like, okay, I thought you were doing it because you thought I loved it, right?
Right. And the thing about the good college, I think in the end, it is all about what your child makes of the college experience.
Absolutely. You can be sent to the best Ivy League, but you don't know how to build on it. You don't know how to plug into the passion of being there. What's the point of getting a degree at the best school if it means nothing to you, if you haven't become passionate about it, if you don't know how to transform it into a life goal, right? So absolutely, I went to a really obscure college outside New Delhi for my entire undergrad. No one's ever heard about it. It cost $20 a year. I missed half of the school, I wasn't plugged in, and then eventually found my passion later. So success is not a straight line. It is about discovery of the self, and that is the only way a person will succeed, is when they plug into something that means something for them.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. Well, I've got a question from one of our readers here. This question comes from Anita, a mom of 2 from Chicago. Now, what are you seeing specifically in the South Asian community on this requirement of always being number one? And how do you recommend parents and even the students to break away when it feels like you're almost unconsciously gripped by this requirement?
Well, I think, the South Asian community, just like any other community, has to always look at its shadow. And I think we in the South Asian community have somehow developed a sense of identity and our own worth by being the brainy ones or by being the geeky ones or by being whatever the identity is. And because we have prided ourselves as that, the math and science or the clever ones or the smart ones, we have created an identity based on this collectively. And it's all unspoken, but it's all kind of agreed on collectively.
Right.
Now we want to impose that on our children. And it's not fair to do that, because in doing that, we're doing the same disservice to our children that education does to children as well, by pegging everyone in the same hole. And sometimes it works for our kids because our kids have an affinity for that. Sometimes it doesn't work at all. And you see many South Asian kids rebelling against their parents, stepping out of the fold, not able to take the pressure, or breaking down. So we have to ask ourselves as a community, why is it that we've created this identity, and what we can do to become flexible and open about it so that we serve our children's needs, not just the needs of our desire for an identity and a purpose and a name and, belonging.
Absolutely. And how do you feel that a parent can be involved in the process of their child's academic journey of being, let's say, a top student and getting into an Ivy League, but avoid the level of pressure and stress around this process? How can parents do this in a more conscious, effective way?
It's hard. It's hard. There's no easy way to do this. There is going to be some pressure, so you have to always keep your ego in check and ask, how much of this is my ego? How much am I just vomiting on my child? How much can I hold back? And how much can I keeping them with the idea that they can succeed without making success the be-all and end-all of their existence. So how quickly can we get over a bad grade? How can we kind of move on? How can we reframe a bad grade? How can we, say that we are not, risk averse, not failure averse? How can we exude the attitude that this is all a journey, it's all play, it's all fun and an experiment at the end of the day, and not make it like it's some serious, life or death situation, which is what we often do.
Right. And, one of the things I always feel about this is so many parents, especially moms, feel like they should know how to do all of this on their own.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm all about building a team. I mean, as a CEO and as an entrepreneur, I have an incredible team.
Yes.
And for motherhood and fatherhood, why do you feel that the concept of having a team is not as widely as accepted as I would assume it to be?
Well, first, it's financially related, I'm sure. Not everyone can afford a team. But also, I think there's a stigma attached to needing help or looking out for help, or we need to be smart enough on our own, or we need to do this on our own. So I agree with you. There needs to be a cultural awareness around depending on others for help. Parents should not do everything on their own. Tutors are great to call in. It takes the stress off the parent. It removes the parent from the power struggle. It outsources the issue. And kids are more open to developing a relationship with other adults that are here to help them. And they can be a great influencer in their lives as well.
Totally. They say that 86% of students have succeeded in their goals just by having a mentor. And for a lot of people, that can be the parent. But I can't tell you what it's like to be able to light up the student and the way you can mentor them, even through situations that they may not feel comfortable talking to their parent about.
Yes, exactly. And you want them to develop that relationship and have that dependency, a healthy dependency on someone else, so that you're not just the only one getting stressed and then creating all that conflict at home.
Absolutely. And, sometimes a lot of what we do can be a little bit like therapy, where, they might say, hey, I feel completely worthless when my dad yells at me about my grades. What do you recommend? I'm like, well, you could try these types of strategies to communicate with him. And maybe it's writing a letter. Maybe maybe we need to slow down the back and forth. Mm-hmm. And they're surprised. Parents will say, you've done a lot more than raise my child's grade or their self-confidence. You've built my relationship back with my child.
Absolutely. And that is a good tutor, and I long for such tutors who are able to take care of the emotional well-being of my clients as well as help them succeed in their goals, but in a very healthy, realistic, bonded relationship.
Absolutely. And we've got a question from Jane out of California. She's a mom of 2. And so how do you suggest a parent to address the following in a conversation around college? I'm scared to talk with my daughter about her college list because there's a lot of schools she doesn't qualify for, and I don't know how to do it without hurting her feelings. And second, how do I even broach the topic of being able to afford colleges if she picks a school we can't even pay for?
Yeah, really hard. So the first one about hurting your children's feelings, I think most of that may come just from you. I think if you say to a kid very realistically that your strengths belong in these areas and these colleges are not going to exemplify your strengths, it's not a good match for you. That's a very realistic, matter-of-fact way to tell your kid, this is not a good college for you. You're not supposed to be a genius in every subject.
Right.
These are your strengths, and these colleges will not match your strengths. So make it a strength-based matching test rather than you striving to get into an elite school just because it's an elite school. And then the second one about financial struggles, again, you have to be very matter-of-fact with your kid, going, I love it, I love you to go there, but I don't know how to afford it. Let's find a way. But if we can't find a way, you may have to go here, and then maybe you transfer. These are more our issues, that we're scared to hurt our children's feelings. We're scared to admit to our financial insecurities. They are usually on board with them because they understand that this is just how reality is. So we can always try to create new solutions, but we can never not be just blatantly honest with our children.
Absolutely. And then I have another question from Alyssa, mom of 3 from New York City. And she said, what would you say is one of the number one tips you recommend from a parenting perspective as a parenting expert for parents when it comes to just their academic career? How can I as a mom support my child during their academic school year?
Well, I think it's creating a very calm and simplified home life, where the kid is allowed to have a lot of space for downtime and relax. And then when it's time to be on school, they are able to, and we support them. It's, we can do our best in creating a calm atmosphere at home to combat the stressful atmosphere at school. But if they come home from school and then they're again attacked by a barrage of stress and overwhelm and demands and commands, then they're going to really feel the pressure even more. So how can we create that calm, simplified, decluttered home life where the kid feels like they can unravel and unwind and truly enter some state of non-anxiety so that then they feel motivated to study, right?
Absolutely. It's a beautiful way of saying it because sometimes the parent can feel like the megaphone.
Yeah. Yes, totally. Kid can't do it anymore because all day they've been listening to orders and commands.
Yes, exactly. So they want to just veg out or take a break. There's what I always call, you need to allow a human to have their decompression time.
Totally, before they can be recharged and come back to the task again. It can't just be all doing.
Absolutely. And Dr. Shefali, in conclusion, I'd love for you to talk to us a little bit about your summit that's coming up in October that is really revolutionizing the view on parenting, where people can come together as a community and as a tribe to talk about some of the work that you're doing.
Yes, so it's called Evolve the Conscious Way with Dr. Shefali. It's in New York City in October. We have a gathering of amazing conscious parents and teachers coming together to raise our vibration, our growth, our transformation as parents so that we can be the most attuned to our children. And let me tell you, this is the best gift you can give your children, the investment in your growth and your transformation.
Absolutely. Guys, this is the trip to take. If you haven't been to New York and you want to go do something fun with your friends, this is a great way. And if you're in New York, this is a must-have to attend. Dr. Shefali, thank you so much for being on the show.
Well, thank you for having me.
It's been incredible. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.